Hi, I'm Catherine Garrett. I'm actually from Independence, where you're going to be in a couple days. But my half an hour away from here, about in Nevada, my brother was working in a liquor store. An alarm went off because he was new to the job, and the police were alerted. His boss called the police and told them not to come in because it wasn't an emergency. But the police came in anyway, saw a black man in the store, and drew a gun on him. He, luckily, was saved by his boss arriving in the nick of time. But I want to ask you, do you have any plans to diffuse the tensions between the black community and the police?
Yeah. Catherine, thank you for asking the question and having the courage to share a very personal, very difficult story. Hopefully we all agree that no one in this country should have to fear those who are sworn to serve and protect us, who are put in this position of public trust, are carrying a firearm and have the ability to deprive us of our liberty and our life even. And yet too many do, and too many do based on their race. A difference that should have no distinction, should not matter in this country, and yet it does. The alarming number of unarmed black men and women who have lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement in this country is unconscionable and must be stopped. What do we do as a country? What could I do as president? Number one, we could ensure that our Department of Justice and the Civil Rights Division investigates and fully prosecutes every use of force that is unwarranted against a person of color in this country by a local police force. Two, we could tie federal funds to sheriff's offices and police departments to their ability to have full transparency and full reporting on use of force and against whom it is used. Three, we need to make sure that there's real accountability, consequences, and justice at the end of the day, or else this is just going to continue to happen year after year to person after person. But the last thing, and this is the hardest among them, there are some real bad actors in our police departments, and they should be rooted out. The vast majority of them, I hope most of us can acknowledge, are doing a really difficult job under trying circumstances. I want to support them to the best of our ability, make sure that they have the training necessary in situations like the one that you just described to make the right decision, that we support them in this difficult job, and that we also hold them accountable so that the entire force is not tarnished by the bad actions of a few. But I think we have to put them in the context of a country that is fundamentally, in almost every single institution, racist in terms of the access and the outcomes that we see, because it's not just in law enforcement, and it's not just the criminal justice system, where you have 2.3 million people behind bars, and they're disproportionately comprised of people of color. In Iowa, I think African Americans comprise about 3% of the population, and about 25% of the incarcerated population in the state. That does not make sense to me. That is not just, that is not right. But it's not just in those arenas. In healthcare, amidst a maternal mortality crisis, it is 3 times as deadly for women of color in this country right now. In education, in a kindergarten classroom, a 5-year-old child is 5 times as likely to be disciplined or suspended or expelled if he or she is a child of color in this country. In the economy, 10 times the wealth in white America than there is in black America. So I see this challenge and this very real threat that you describe in law enforcement in a larger context of a system that is the legacy of not just slavery, but ongoing segregation and suppression and the effects of Jim Crow in this country. Until we face that and fully understand it and tell the full story of America and everyone in America, I don't think we're ever going to change the fundamentals that are causing these problems. We'll never begin the repair that is necessary, and we will never stop visiting this kind of injustice on future generations. So I gave you the immediate steps I would take as president, but I think we need a much larger conversation to address the bigger picture that we see here in the United States. Thanks for the question, Catherine. Appreciate it.